tons of background noise as you can. So there's tons of background noise as you can hear, but that's a-okay because there's a young child in the house playing, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't want to be the guy that's like, "Hey, can you guys stop playing? Got to do some serious internet stuff." So it would be really weird if I didn't say anything because it's like most of my subscribers came from streaming at the convoy last year. It was a significant event in history, and I think it will be looked back on in history. And I'm proud that I was there. No matter what people's political beliefs are, I'm proud that I was there. And I feel that it should be talked about because it's the last weekend of January, and last year the last weekend of January is when it started. Isn't that right? Remember when Daddy went to the convoy? So the things I will never believe the news. I will never, because the things there that I saw, first of all, the first big red flag of the news line was they said they were stealing from the homeless. And I thought, oh my God, they must, because that narrative got exaggerated and talked about. And even me, I was like, oh my God, there must be a clip of someone stealing a sandwich of a homeless, like one lone person. And it wasn't even that. What it was they said all the donations going to the convoy could have gone to the homeless. So then, therefore, they're stealing from the homeless. And that's a big, wild accusation. They said, oh, they disgraced the statue of Terry Fox. Someone hung a Canadian flag around him like he was a superhero. And I can almost guarantee that other protests have put other things around Terry Fox because he's sitting right at the corner, right in front of Parliament building. No one did anything disrespectful to Terry Fox there. And at this convoy, I saw Christian ministers or priests or whatever, all types of people, from Christian ministers to hippies with dreadlocks. I saw Sikhs handing out soup and having tents together. And I saw people, food tents, handing out food to everyone, including the homeless. I saw bouncy castles with kids playing and laughing, and I saw people making it a family outing. But then the news somehow said, oh, these people are using their kids, and that's what terrorists did. No, that's bullshit. And the people, like I saw, one of the funniest signs I ever saw, and I saw tons of Indigenous people there, and the news were trying to make it as a white supremacist event because I guess being a truckers, is associated with being conservative and blue collared, and therefore that means it's right wing. So therefore it's bad because everything right wing is bad. Freedom of speech is bad because it's right wing. And every protest that has ever gone to Ottawa in Trudeau's time, Trudeau addressed them, except this one. When people are like, oh, but there are signs saying F Trudeau, so why would... There's tons of signs and there's tons of people at other protests that have hate towards Trudeau, and he comes out and talks to them. And it's funny because all of these people in my... Is the microphone not working right now? Is the microphone not working? So all these people that growing up in my life, they were anti-government, anti-big pharma, anti-police brutality, and meeting these people at punk shows. These were the people that were mad about the convoy. So these are like mostly socialist, liberal type people. And think about it, the convoy was like a socialist wonderland. There's people there handing out food, people donating, and then it getting spread out to everyone. And resources were being spread out equally based on people's needs. So that's a socialist wonderland. And like, they did way better than any of those Wall Street or protests, Occupy Wall Street, because they had like 3 weeks and they had the resources and the heat to keep themselves going. It wasn't a bunch of shitty tents. It was trucks that were made to sustain and withstand the cold winter. And there was moments at the convoy, like there was one of the doctors was talking and it said it wasn't the lawyers who did this. It wasn't priests. It wasn't anyone higher up. It wasn't politicians. The people that had the idea to come do this protest and bring all these people together against the mandates were people with dirty fingernails. And I think the world started to realize how much the world runs on blue-collar labor, how much they need it, how much truckers do for people. The funniest sign I saw was by a Native guy, and he said, if you guys think you should trust the government, ask a Native guy. And it's true, like Canada and North America has a horrendous past towards Indigenous, the things that the government has done to the Indigenous, and all of this was the government trying to help. The residential schools in Manitoba, and they've been all over Canada, and like we have had severe problems in Manitoba, and the last one was here. It was in 1995 that the last one closed. So I was alive. Me, this young strapping lad, was alive when the last residential school was open. And that was the government trying to help for the future. Like there's that famous quote by Ronald Reagan, the worst thing you can ever hear someone in the government say is, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Because that was them trying to assimilate them into the North American white culture and wipe them of their culture and past. While honestly, I believe, yeah, Canada is very white. It's a white country with Indigenous past, and not to get overly political because I just want to talk. It's like, yeah, we are a country of both brown and white, and we have tons of immigrants, and it's like a mosaic, and like we should be proud and embrace the Indigenous culture. I've been wanting to get a pair of moccasins for a while now, and like it just hit me that Indigenous people and rednecks have so much in common. They both like to fish, hunt, go quadding. They both hate the government. So it's like they were trying to pin those two groups of people against each other. They were trying to keep minorities away from coming to the convoy by saying, yeah, like it's racism total. And I noticed every weekend and every day that went on, more and more people of color showed up because I guess the word got out through streamers or through social media that no, it's not a big Nazi fest. Because the whole day of like that guy, I was there. There were billboards with the swastika on it, but no one there was promoting Nazism. That makes zero sense to promote Nazism because these people are protesting the government having too much power. And Nazism was National Socialism where the government had ultimate power. So that makes no sense why they would promote that and be in favor of that. There were signs saying Canada is turning into Nazi Germany or on the bad path to that, or they were comparing Trudeau to Nazi or to Hitler, and that's in bad taste, sure. But it's like they were in no way promoting Nazism. That narrative was such bullshit. They said Trudeau is becoming like a Nazi, and that's bad. So in no way were they promoting that. The photo with the guy with the Nazi flag was a guy in like a fucking ski mask, and it was outside of a hotel, and he didn't really quite walk around. The Nazi flag had like creases in it, like it was brand new or something like that. And I don't know too much about it, but there is a rumor about it being Trudeau's photographer that took that photograph. So it seems, and like, I'm not saying that this situation is what happened, but like, let's think about it. You were a news reporter trying to make a story. How hard would it be to pay a guy to put on a mask and wave a flag and be like, here's $3,000. No one will ever know it's you. That's why that guy was wearing a mask, because if he was really proud of what he was doing, he wouldn't have worn a mask, would he? And I talked to all kinds of people there. Hell, I met an actress from BC there. And like going to this event, to me, it was I felt an energy there that I've never felt in my life before. I felt connected to everyone there. Maybe it's because I just spent like 2 years being in a French only environment and like being a language barrier between me and most people. Like, yeah, a lot of people in Montreal do speak English, but they choose to speak French, and in group conversations it's French. So I never really knew what was going on unless I listened really, really hard. And like when they were speaking fast, I couldn't understand them. Sorry, I was just reading a comment. Yeah, I was just talking about that, Nathan. And like, I don't really have all the facts on that, but I'm just mentioning that. But I'm just mentioning the things that I've seen. And like the organizers every day in their morning speeches, like demanded by the protesters, the organizers saying, you must be nice to each other. Like whether you're anti-cop or pro-cop, doesn't matter. You're going to treat them with respect. It's their job. They're here. Tons of people, and you can look through my channel. I have highlights of this stuff. Like there are people getting arrested by police for bringing supplies to the truckers. That's insane, for supporting a protest. And Edward Snowden said it right. Like the fact that Trudeau froze bank accounts because they supported a protest that was anti him, and he froze people's bank accounts because of that. That is insane. Not even targeting the people in the protest or the organizers, but like you donated to it. There was Nathan, there was a picture of a Nazi flag of a dude waving like an old school, like Third Reich Nazi flag, and it makes no sense. And then, but there was a flag, a Canadian flag with Nazis written on it, which one, it's kind of a disgrace to the flag. That person shouldn't have done that. That person in no way was promoting Nazism. He was saying that Canada is becoming this and it's not great. And even like there was like an Alberta fucking MP, and like in one of his interviews, the guy walked by in the background and they're like, oh, this guy's supporting that too. It's like they were finding these small links that just didn't make any sense. I encourage anyone to go and look through my highlights. There's people of color, of like really different backgrounds, not just of color, but like the way of life. I saw an ex RCMP officer in full getup get on stage and plead with officers and ask them to not follow unlawful orders. Um, and actually he did say, and he talked about it, and he said that this uniform has a stain on it because we marched into Indigenous reserves and ripped children out of the arms of their parents, and that is wrong. We have a stain. And he said now it's quite possible we might have another stain soon. And I think it was like 7 days later, then the RCMP was in there trampling people with horses. Actually, they ran over a nice old. There's a clip of an old. It actually kind of got wiped off the internet. There was a clip of an old lady, an old Indigenous elder. I think she was from the Mohawk tribe. She was pleading with the protesters and the cops, being like, "Peace and love, guys. Come on, peace and love." And then I don't think the cops did this on purpose. I'll give them that, but like the amount of people that are apparently anti-cop brutality, those same people were cheering on Facebook that people that they happen to not like were getting beat up by the police. So it's like, oh, you just don't like police brutality when they're hurting your friends. But when it's hurting people that you might disagree with politically, that's okay. See, that's fascism. That's bullshit. That's a bullshit way of thinking. Like, oh, we should have peace and love, and tell it's someone that has a different political opinion than me. And like, I'm fully vaccinated. Like, I'm saying all this as a fully vaccinated person. I understand people. I just believe in medical choice. Hell, I'll even say it. I'm pro-choice. If a woman wants to go get an abortion and have a medical procedure, whether it's morally right or wrong, that person, it is their choice to do that. And like that gets into the argument of, oh, what about the babies? But anyways, I morally, because like if something like that was a sin, then God will judge you. But the government does not have the right. In North America, the governments here are separated from church, and that's how I believe that's how countries should be run, and that's my opinion, and you can disagree. But I don't know, just the organizers told people to not be stupid. They pleaded with people to not be stupid, and no one was. I didn't see anything stupid. I was there a lot, like 8 hours a day, most of the days there. Some days I was there like 14 hours. Some days I slept in a parking garage, and it was just really nice to be somewhere and actually understand what people were saying for once. But like, man, like there was tons of different types of people there. There's some guys there like talking to me about like aliens and cloned aliens and Chinese conspiracies, and I wasn't really into that. But it's like I still listen. I'm like, oh, cool, yeah, cool, man. But like all these nice little dance parties after like years of being locked up, and especially I was in Quebec where there was 2 different curfews. But there was this big dance party like every single night. And like sometimes at night on Saturdays, there'd be like 5 different spots of dance parties. And like the most views I ever had on this channel, I had 6,800 people watching it once, watching this dance party. And it was nuts. And like I have so much to thank for the convoy, from the convoy and all the other streamers. And yeah, it was a bit of a kick in the balls, getting because I happened to have like doctors in the background when I was going by, talking about other possible ways to deal with COVID. And now I shouldn't have said that, but I just said it. And now this video is going to get flagged. But I got demonetized, not demonetized. I got flagged. And then after I stopped posting about it, I actually went and took all the videos down that related to that. But they were even going into my unlisted videos and like giving me strikes for that. So I had 2 strikes. I almost lost my channel. And if you were wondering why maybe I pulled and edited the streams down, it's because like I wanted to keep the streams up. I wanted to show history, and I'm slowly uploading them all to Rumble. But like my 3-hour streams got cut down to 5 minutes because I just like I don't want to lose my channel. I had it for 10 years, and I don't want to lose it, and I don't want to lose my connection to you guys that I have and my audience. And I don't know. I was really choked and really sad, and no, I wasn't there. I wasn't there when, and I'll admit it, I wasn't there when they started arresting people. It was the day before that I was like, okay, maybe this is enough. Maybe this is not worth it for me. And I wish I did stay. I wish on it. That's one of my regrets. I was still taking care of someone that just had a surgery on their knee, so I felt. I mean, she probably would have been fine without me, but like I felt the need to stay close to that person. But like I definitely, I don't know if I covered everything I wanted to talk about, but the funny thing is that after this, all of the mandates slowly let up. And people, even some liberals and left wing people, were like, "Yeah, it was because of what the truckers did, of course." And this was some like smarter people that even disagreed with the truckers. They're like, "Yeah, of course it was because of them." Like it's pretty much um, like they kind of pulled like the convoy. Sorry, I just read your comment and it kind of threw me off, Nathan. Yeah, I'm sorry. No, it's fine, man. Like I was just like I felt like honestly like some sort of duty to be there and be another angle, and I was happy that there were so many people there covering it because you guys saw how full of shit the news was. And like it was, I was happy to be a part of that. And I was proud to be a part of that and proud to show how full of shit the news was being. And like, people rag on Russia, oh, they have state-run media. So do we. It's called CBC. And they seem to just repeat everything that Trudeau wanted. They don't seem to ever criticize Trudeau. They were just doing whatever he wanted to say about the protests and just make him look better. They gave the truckers no credit. People are like, oh, the numbers letting up. And I'm like, who controls the numbers? Who talks about the numbers? Oh, this government organization. Oh, okay. Now it's like, no, they let up because they were seeing people were getting sick of it. And I think a lot of people were getting sick of it because all the people that played by the rules and did everything they were supposed to, it wasn't, well, it was truckers. It was mostly truckers, but the people that followed it were also people that played by all the rules, Nathan. Yeah, okay, sorry, that's exactly what you said. Sorry. And yet I still couldn't go to a restaurant. I still couldn't take my girlfriend out somewhere. I couldn't meet up with family if I was in the same city with them. And like we were still under all these restrictions. We still couldn't be human beings, even though I did everything. I played by all the rules. I was very careful during all the lockdowns. I didn't go see people, and I lived through 2 curfews, which is bullshit. And like they have no, and especially cities like Montreal, where like my apartment was like as big as the room I'm renting, and I was living with someone, and it was hell. It was hell going to work from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., then going home and not being able to go outside and go for a walk, not seeing the sun until the weekend. And hell, I didn't have it nearly as hard as anyone else. Like people lost their businesses. I know people that have overdosed and had a very, very hard time in life. And it was extremely hard for people. And I think people just had enough of the government telling people what to do. And for anyone who's watched this far, I have the same opinion I have. Like, and I don't like. I'm probably gonna get striked and like not be able to post for a week because of this. But it's kind of crazy to think that there's a microchip in the jab, because if they wanted to track you with a microchip, these things, right? Or maybe they want to control you. I don't know. But that seems a little too out there. So if you believe that, I think you're a little silly. But if you believe that pharmaceutical companies that have class action lawsuits against them are not greedy or don't misdo anything, that they're not greedy and that they have no influence on our government or lawmakers at all, that they don't have money to manipulate people and get people to do things that they want to, considering, doctors used to endorse smoking and athletes used to endorse smoking and politicians used to endorse smoking, that if you don't think it's possible that they can manipulate lawmakers into making laws that make pharmaceutical companies seem like the heroes, then I also think you're silly. And the people that were so anti-big pharma were wearing Pfizer shirts. Like, it's like you guys are insane. Like, what kind of double think is this? Like, you all ragged on big pharma and don't believe the news, don't watch TV, cops are bad. But when you were brainwashed by the news into liking big pharma, all of a sudden you were cheering when they were beating up people that were going against that narrative. So the people who are woke and like anti-cop, like I don't think you are anti-police brutality. You just don't want to see your friends get beat up, or you just post these things on the internet to seem virtuous because then all of a sudden it was popular to hate the convoy, and these people were running a socialist paradise like you people wanted to do. You all of a sudden like hated them. and you just followed whatever the news said. And you guys are supposed to be free thinkers, yet you just ate up everything the news said without being there. The funniest thing is if you look through, I have an interview with an Ethiopian man, and I asked him, I said, "Do you?" And he's black, and I said he's Rastafarian, and I said, "Do you feel any racism here?" And he's like, "No, man, no." And actually, throughout my streams, I asked tons of people of color, and I didn't highlight every single instance, but asking them about racism. And I remember being in Montreal, and I got accused of being a white supremacist because I said, "Yeah, I went to the convoy," and I used to say, "Yeah, I just went there to stream and see what it was about and kind of be there." No, but like I did that at first, but then I fully, because I knew it was like this is not going to happen again. This is going to be historic. And I thought all of Canada would be watching, but no, then the whole world was watching, and I was really happy to be a part of that. Bummed out that I got striked 2.5 weeks in. Could have built up my subscribers base a lot more. It was still fun to be there after, but it wasn't as fun because I also had people on the internet supporting me and talking to people. And it was fun being like a little cameraman and YouTuber walking around. And the other YouTubers supported me. And so the streamers had a little community outside too. But I encourage anyone to watch those interviews that I have of like Polish immigrants that escaped communism and Peru immigrants that escaped communism. But I was showing this guy, he was this guy from Montreal who never went to the convoy. He only saw things, this white guy. He only ever saw things. Not that it matters, but it kind of doesn't matter for this story. He whatchamacallit, he said, "Oh no, like I can't talk to you. Like you are a white supremacist for being there. And you were supporting an event that was supporting racism." And I showed him that interview of this black guy who said he was there and he was still there. We were in the middle of the convoy. And he said, "No, I don't feel that. I think that's the news lying." And that white guy, he was like, "Well, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about." And I was like, "Oh, so a black guy who was actually there doesn't know about the racism he experienced and he's full of shit. Yet a white guy who stayed at home and just watched the news somehow knows more than this black guy that was actually there." So I just started to realize that like there is some power where people can really, really, really get brainwashed, and like they just won't change their mind no matter what you show them. And like, when I told people there that I was fully vaccinated, they didn't like want to hang me or something. They weren't rude towards me. Hell, I was being a bit of a puss and I was wearing earphones because the horns were loud. I wanted to protect my hearing. No one ragged on me for that. No one ragged on me for whatever I did. Okay, wait. I had that one instance with that weird dude that kept slapping my camera. He's like, "You can't be here, man." And it was like a guy from Quebec. He's like, "Do you want the fight or the frame?" And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I didn't want to say fight because I thought that would make the situation more aggressive. But he was trying to say fame, and then he was like, "Oh, so you're just here for the fame?" And it's like, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm here because I like the protests, and actually, like, we're on public property, and we're kind of here for the freedom of choice, and so I can be here whether I hate you guys or not. And I don't, but like, even if I hated this protest or I was just here for fame, I can be here because it's a goddamn free country. So that guy was being ignorant. And like getting brainwashed into thinking only certain types of people are allowed to be here, and it's just whatever. So that was like the one weird instance I had. But out of the thousands of people I met, interacted with, all the people that supported me, all the people that donated to help me with gas to getting there because I was driving 2 hours back and forth, or I was staying in my car and running my car to not freeze to death. Never got a hotel once. Also, I had like an $800 data bill, whatever. That's a bit of a write off because, and no, it was one of the best experiences of my life, and it was like a recharge being in an English environment after being in a French environment for so long. Yeah, like, well, okay, so I didn't even talk about it, but yeah, Nathan, like, I actually had an interview with a counter protester, and he was very polite, and we were just like politely disagreeing, like some young lads. Um, But, like, I remember, like, the guy's fucking sign was fucking up, and people were, like, helping him with his sign that was, like, telling the convoy to go home, and that, like, the convoy people were like, "No, we believe in your right to protest." "Yeah, no, we'll help you out." "Yeah, put some snow on the sign to keep it from falling over." Like, people were just wanting to be helpful, and I remember there was a global news, of, like, because the global news van got stuck, and, like, some truckers pulled them out. Like, "Here you go," even though you jackasses have been ragging on us. And the news reporter felt it was important to post that, and like all the comments online were like, "These are a select few that would do this. None of these truckers would do this." No, actually, and this is someone I've just switched from cinema to going back to the construction industry to be an apprentice. And I can tell you, yeah, people that are blue collar are really rough and they can be rough, but deep down they're more kind than the fake people who are outwardly nice, and they were more kind. And like, there's people that are nice but not kind. And then there's people that are kind but not nice. And nice but not kind is like when you have a blown tire, people drive by and like, oh, that's so bad. I wish I could help and do something. And then they drive away. A person that's kind but not nice would pull up and be like, you don't know how to fix your own tire. You're a fucking idiot. And they would get out and help you. See the difference? What kind of person would you spend more time with? Um, I don't know if I covered everything I want to cover, but I do have to go to work soon. I'll talk about this a couple more times, but I was extremely proud to be there. I was very, very proud to be a part of it. And I'm not hiding that I'm proud of it. I was happy to be there. And I know more people are waking up and more people are like, yeah, it was cool that Canada led the way on that movement. And yeah, the American movement didn't really help happen as much because they put barricades and stuff at their capital. But it was unity, like, and I think people were just tired and had enough, and it's like Canada led the way in, like, "Yeah, this is enough." Um, no, and I'm extremely proud that it was Canada that started it. I am, and I don't know, like, I thought, like, and those chats that got leaked of the police conversation of them being all hyped up to smash people's faces in, and no one thinks that weird. All the people that are against police brutality didn't say anything about that, again, because it's like, "Oh, we don't it's people we don't agree with, so they deserve to get their faces smashed in." A lot of cops on the Ottawa Police Force resigned. Oh, what was I gonna talk about? Oh, the whole, like, Geneva Convention thing, right? So, in the Geneva Convention, in wartime, in the international, like, wartime agreement, the Geneva Convention, there's article I don't know, I can't list the exact same row or article that it is, but there is something in there about not attacking food supplies or supply lines of the enemy, because that's inhumane. And though this wasn't a war between the protests and him, it wasn't a physical, violent war. But it's like you wouldn't do that to a foreign enemy that's trying to destroy you. But Trudeau had no problem doing that against a protest that was in his own home, or whether it was Trudeau or not, they gave the order. But there was police higher ups in the police that were okay with arresting people, and they were going after the truckers' supply line and gas, which they used for heat to heat them and their families, and the food to help them, which was actually going to the homeless too. When like I know people that they were buying groceries for the truckers and their bank accounts got frozen. So it's like that is a bad war tactic against enemies that are trying to destroy you, but your own countrymen that are disagreeing with the law that's out there, no, that's okay to do that to them. Um, so yeah, I have to get going to work. On that note, no, like my YouTube channel, I saw my YouTube channel go from 300 subscribers to 8,000. Not to make this about me, but like I felt support from people all over the world, from Germany, Mexico, all over, and um, yeah, no, I felt like I really, for the first time in my life, I felt like I fit in somewhere. So that it was really, really, really good to be there. And I have friends from that I still talk to. Shout out! Oh, and I need to thank all my channel moderators now and back then that helped me. And it was when I got striked, I had a bunch of people emailing me, making sure to be out because I guess like I was out till like 4 in the morning streaming, and it was really cold that night. But a bunch of people were concerned, and I felt love and cared about when that happened. And no, like I absolutely am going. I wish that happened once a year almost, but what made it so special was it's like they knew this was never going to happen again. So people really let the love out, and people were in circles singing "Kumbaya," yet the news was saying it was a bunch of Nazis being violent. Um, yeah, it was like I just felt an energy there, and every day was different there. But like the dancing and the having, and I saw all types of people, old ladies and young kids at these like raves, being like, and just like letting out the steam of the last 2 years. Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate it. No, thank you for everyone that's watching me. Sorry, I'm not trying to be sappy, but it's just I want to make sure I'm thanking everyone. And it's been a good year, and no, it gave me a boost of confidence. I'm like, oh, maybe I can do YouTube as like a job one day, or like have a good following. And yeah, maybe you just need to cover trending topics apparently, and it taught me that. But no, I was extremely proud how and it was just nice how the universe lined up where I kind of had time off work, and I was just my girlfriend at the time who just had a surgery was better enough that I could leave, and it just seemed like the right thing to do and the right place to be, and it was really great. I was really happy to be there. Super proud. So yeah, and I'm not gonna hide it anymore. Like I have been hiding it, not, but I find in my new places of work, like that are more blue collared, and I can talk about these things, and I'm more by like-minded people. So I'm really, really happy for that. Anyways, ciao for now. Well, I'm still doing like daily Stoic quotes where I read quotes from this book, and I'm gonna do all 365. And maybe that's a cop-out way to make content, but I'm still making other content as well. So I have some interviews that I'm editing and gonna put out. I have a podcast right now that I'm quickly editing and skimming over because me and the person that we podcasted, we got into some deeper discussions that we're like, maybe we'll save this for another podcast. But no, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. I know I said thank you. I've been saying bye for 5 minutes, but ciao for now. Have a great day. Ciao, bye.